Today we are talking about a subject that I have been wanting to make a video about for a while, which is how to allow old versions of you and others to die. So basically killing an old reality to create, live in, thrive in a new reality. If this is something that you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna jump right into it. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a while because it is a practice. It is something that you consciously choose and that you continue to consciously choose as you move through life, level up, just change the game, change your reality. There are so many signs that come up that something is no longer in frequency for you, in alignment for you, and it is not meant to come with you. And I want to talk about that. One of the things that I find is when a person, place, situation is not in alignment for you, it will start to reject you. So for example, a place, a situation, when you're in a place and that place starts to reject you. I'll give you an example. There was this really cute coffee shop that was in my town that I used to love to go to because of the aesthetic. It was beautiful. It was like this French bistro like kind of vibe. It was so well designed. And I would go and I'd meet friends and I'd co-work and I'd have such a blast. I loved being there. But I started noticing that the owner would start coming around to people and at their tables and kind of have this attitude and say, oh, you can't have that in here. That's gotta go. You can't bring that in here. And now I get it. Like certain things you can't bring into certain places because of whatever reasoning they have. It's part of their policy. But what I noticed was the energy of that person. And although they never directly said anything to me, I observed them over a few different visits have this kind of energy towards people. It was almost this distrustful, I'm watching you kind of energy. It felt like lack to me. And so that kind of made me start not wanting to spend as much time there because I don't like to be in places that, you don't feel comfortable in, that feel like they have lack in the vibration. So I slowly stopped going there because I just saw the way that the owner was interacting with the people that were spending their money at his place. Turns out, not too long after that, the last time I was there, they shut down. And it was quick. People were very shocked and stunned, but I wasn't, because I realized that this space was rejecting me because I was noticing what was happening and the energy around it. And I started to remove myself from that space because it was rejecting not only me, but actually rejecting other people, making them feel uncomfortable and making them feel like they were doing something wrong. So that space rejected me. So I realized, hey, this space is not meant to be a part of my reality anymore. And sure enough, it closed down. So when you build this discernment, this intuition, and you're able to really see what isn't for you, it is so helpful. This happens with people. There are people, even clients this happens with. There are people, there are clients, when they fall out of frequency, to let that happen. Let the chips fall where they may. And it doesn't matter how long that thing was in frequency for. It could have been 10 years. It could have been 2 days. But when something falls out of frequency, your job is not to overthink it, to judge it, to try to make it right, to try to justify. Your only job is to see it and to move accordingly. So when you realize a person is out of frequency for you, and these ones are hard because people are things that, we love people, right? But when it's a person, you realize they're out of frequency, and it's likely a person you love. You realize they're out of frequency. What do? This is where it becomes tricky, but you do pretty much a similar thing. You start to realize that it's falling out of frequency. You come to terms with whatever feelings are coming up. And from there, you make a decision. If this is something that a conversation is needed, go ahead and do that. If it is something where there's no conversation needed, don't do that. There's situations that call for it, and there's situations that call for you to just honor that this is not in frequency for you anymore. With so much love. But this is your responsibility as a woman that is embracing and holding her power and understands her power. Things are going to fall out of frequency, especially if you move quickly. If you move very quickly, if you traverse through the quantum very quickly, if you're a woman that truly is on this inner work journey, you are going to move through dimensions and timelines very swiftly. And that means that things that were in frequency last week may not be in frequency this week. That means people that were in frequency 2 months ago may not be in frequency in 2 months. That means that for you, things may move even quicker than for most people. A job that was in frequency a few months ago may not be in frequency anymore. And to the outside world, this is going to look like, what is going on here? What is she doing? What's happening? But the thing is, this is not predicated on the outside world. This is something that is very, very personal, because you are using your own discernment, intuition, to move into spaces, frequencies, into places with people that are aligned for you. And so you have to be in a place of non-judgment. And that means you cannot be worried about whether or not other people are judging you. Because that may happen, but that's life. People may judge you. That is life. That is human nature. But when you are in this energy, and I call it the unbreakable version of yourself, when you are in this energy, none of those things matter. Other people's judgments are not your problem. Other people's thoughts about you are not your problem. What is right for you in your heart and your soul, that is all that is important. And here's the thing. That can sound pretty self-centered, and it is. And the more that you center yourself, you center God, you center your God essence, the more in tune you become with your truth. And part of that process, of that fine-tuning and refining process, is making mistakes. I don't think many people would say this part. Maybe you weren't expecting this part, but it is making mistakes, where you are moving through timelines and whatnot, and you're discerning what's for you and what's not for you, and you may make a quote-unquote mistake where you thought it was your intuition and it was paranoia. And there are no mistakes in my world. There are no mistakes. So that mistake is actually just a lesson. You learn, okay, that's what it feels like when I make a decision based out of paranoia versus my intuition. And then you have self-compassion, you move forward with even more increased self-trust, because you could have that hard conversation with yourself and still forgive yourself and still move forward and not come to a halt because you think you did something wrong and you are bad. This is a personal journey that you go on when you start inner work. And it's going to come with ups and downs and bumps in the road and highs and lows, which is part of the journey of life, of a life lived fully. And when you do inner work, you are going on a journey of living life fully. So part of this journey is understanding that it's okay to make mistakes, because they're just lessons. And it doesn't stop you. It shouldn't stop you from continuing to move forward and continuing to let things fall out of frequency. So when you are in the process of killing an old reality, letting an old reality die, this is something that you're going to have to come to terms with and be okay with. Letting old versions of you die, because if there's a version of you that is in alignment with this version of your family, with this version of your friends, with this version of the places you, with this entire reality, when you start to try to ascend, move up, that reality tries to drag you down, because it's a full reality created around that. So you're just you, but you have a full reality that's trying to drag you down. So you have to start to upgrade everything else along with it, which means the old version has to go. The old version got to die. The old version of you that had this relationship with this person has to die so that a new version of you can have new relationships, maybe with this person, but they may fall away. And you have to be okay with that happening every single time. Whether it's family, friends, lovers, whoever, you have to be okay with that. And be grounded enough so that you are making decisions out of intuition, not paranoia. There is a difference. So groundedness is the key, and that's what will help you to traverse all the different dimensions, do all the inner work, all the quantum leaping, all the quantum work. Grounding is the key to allow yourself the spaciousness, the point of view to see the entire quantum and to make those lumps and jumps, right, as you do your quantum traveling. It is the most fun, enlightening experience. Quantum leaping is my favorite thing, and it also requires a lot of you. You have to be very grounded, very sure of self, very secure in your unbreakable energy, so that when you make these leaps and these changes, you are 1,000% certain that whatever may come, whatever may fall away, whatever may show up for you, you have the ability to move through it. And that is something that you don't just do alone, you do with God, you do with your God essence, you do with the divine. This is something that you have a sacred contract, a sacred connection with your inner divinity, saying, hey, we're in this together. It's me and God. We're going to ride this out. And whatever happens, I am okay with it. And from that standpoint, you can never lose. From that standpoint, you will always win because you will always learn. This is the forever student path. This is inner work. I am teaching a brand new masterclass coming up on March 9th, and it is called the Unbreakable Masterclass. This is what we're talking about. How do you allow yourself to move forward with such certainty, with such discernment, with such groundedness, with such knowledge of self, with such openness to making mistakes and learning lessons? How do you move through rejection, eat no's for breakfast, understand yourself so much and the value that you bring that you never have to question whether it's you? You always know that the right people, the right places, the right things, the right experiences will be yours. The I am presence and how to use it is one of the most powerful skill sets you will ever utilize in this lifetime. And so in this masterclass, I'm going to share the tips and tricks that I've learned in my journey from my mentors, from my investment in my inner work, but always from my own experience and from the experience of my clients. Because learning is one thing, embodying is another. And so because I actually live my work, because I actually live what I'm talking about, I share and I teach from a lived experience. So I teach with stories. I teach with examples. And this is something that I'm so passionate about because it is something that I practice daily. And it is something that I understand, understand, and overstand, right? I am so excited to share this. And I think it's about time. So I will leave the link below if you're watching this after March 2025. I was going to say for 2025. It will be available as a replay, and I will link that as well, okay? If you like this content, drop a comment. Let me know what your major takeaway was, and let me know what other kinds of videos you want to see. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.